Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about a brand new OC candidate that has emerged for the Silver and Black. And unfortunately, we're also going to talk about Super Bowl 58. I'm going to talk about the Niners, the Chiefs. It's a shitty game for a lot of Raider fans out there. But on top of that, I'm also going to tell you, because of the new OC that has emerged, there definitely should be a quarterback that y'all are thinking about. So right now, the OC that the Raiders are going to be interviewing is Klint Kubiak. And I'm really excited about this because I think for people that have watched this show for a long time, you'll know that I've said, hey, man, one of the top candidates at the Silver and Black need to interview is Klint Kubiak from the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason why this timing is interesting, it was also reported by Ian Rappaport that the Raiders are expected to hire an OC this week, which is what they should have ended up doing. And I know a lot of people were wondering, hey, why didn't they hire Cliff on Friday? Why didn't they end up getting a deal done? Why did they let him leave the room? It's because they want to do this in the right way, and there's no rush because they do want to be able to sit down with Klint Kubiak. So this is a tweet from yesterday from my guy, Scout. Requested to interview 49ers pass game coordinator and former Vikings OC Klint Kubiak for their OC position. We'll only be able to interview him next week if the 49ers are eliminated from the playoffs. Raiders are expected to make an OC hire next week regardless. So with them wanting to meet with Kubiak, obviously now with the 49ers advance, it does make this a little bit more of a tricky situation, but they still have the ability to be able to meet with him if need be. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because when 2-3 weeks ago, when we first started talking about coordinators, there were 4 names that I said I want the Raiders to sit down and interview. And here were the 4 names. Cliff Kingsbury, your quarterback coach from USC, who I still believe is the front runner to end up getting this job. Klint Kubiak, pass game coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. Zach Robinson, who he unfortunately was just hired by the Atlanta Falcons, but that was predicted by Chugs and I, mainly Chugs. And he ends up getting that deal. And then you got Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. He ends up getting his job with the Chicago Bears. So Zach Robinson, not available. Shane Waldron, not available. So now it comes down to 2 names, Klint Kubiak or Cliff Kingsbury. I was going to tell you to type KK, but obviously that ain't going to work here. So type 1 or type 2, and this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. This is a very important question amongst the nation. If you watch those Super Bowl games or the conference championship games, you need somebody that can compete at the highest level on a weekly basis. So who's going to give you that shot to do it? Let me know down below. I'm going to be real with you. I think depending on what direction the Raiders want to go in, if you want to roll with a veteran quarterback, maybe somebody like a Kirk Cousins, maybe somebody like a Russell Wilson, you end up bringing in one of those guys, and then you try to draft maybe a Bo Nix or somebody not at pick 13, but trade back. You try to get them at late round 1, early round 2. That's the pairing I think that makes the most sense with Kubiak. You get a starter, you let them groom them, and then you go from there. If you're going to go with Cliff Kingsbury, I think you go balls to the wall and you try to get that air-it-out system where then you're trying to trade up for a Jaden Daniels. You're trying to trade up for a Caleb Williams. You're trying to trade up for a Drake May. So depending on what the Raiders think that they're going to end up being able to do in the draft, I do really think ultimately could be what the Raiders decide to do at OC. So coming up here is going to be more information on Klint Kubiak, and there is a quarterback. And if you follow me on social media, at Mitchell Renz 365, you'll probably know which QB I'm about to link here to Kubiak and why I believe that there is some validity to some of the rumors out there around a certain quarterback in Kubiak. But before I get into all of that, if you do not already know, we are going to be doing a Super Bowl 58 watch party out in Las Vegas, and I was hoping that it wasn't going to be Chiefs and Niners, but now it's even more important that y'all decide to pull up and hang out with Jeremy and I. That way it's a good time. If you're wondering where it is at, it's going to be at the Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel. The address is right here if you want to go check it out. We're going to get the party started on February 11th, 2 p.m. Pacific, so it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours before kickoff. If you're wondering what the hotel looks like on the outside, this is what it looks like here. I also want to be able to show you the showroom where the event is going to be going down. So we're going to have a full bar. And if you watch the Raiders Report later on today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be able to give you more information on how to reserve seats. But essentially, we're going to have all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink deals. There's going to be opportunities for y'all to be able to pop up on the show, take down a boot, do a shot, have a good time. And it's going to be a split room now between Kansas City and the Niners. So we're going to have tons of giveaways. We're going to be doing an awesome live stream here, and if you enjoy what Jeremy and I did, we had over 300,000 people watch the show yesterday, so salute to you. Put it in your calendar. Remember, February 11th, about an hour and a half, 2 hours right before kickoff of Super Bowl 58. So speaking of this game, I'm still frustrated from last night because I feel like the Ravens it was the perfect example of one team has been there, one team hasn't been there in both the AFC Championship game and in the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, I'm going to be real with you. There's a team that I'm going to be rooting for in this one, and I'm just curious to see where you guys end up going because from what I understand and from what I've seen on social media, basically if you lived near the Bay or in NorCal, you're going to be rooting for Kansas City. However, though, I'm sorry. There's no way that I can root for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm from the East Coast, man. So give me the 49ers. That's who I'm rooting for, but it pains me to say it. Let me know who you got. Type C for the Chiefs, type 4 for the 49ers. At the end of the day, I guess I just hope it's a good game, but even that I don't even know if I believe it. I want the 49ers to win. I do not want Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. I don't want to have to deal with that whole shit in Allegiant Stadium. This one hurts, though. Two teams that I hate the most in the Super Bowl. I'm sure you can tell I'm in a lot of pain right now. All right, let's keep on talking here about Klint Kubiak. He hails from the Kyle Shanahan tree, which anytime you can find a coach from the Shanahan tree, I'm always on board. It's the exact same thing that I was saying about the Sean McVay tree. These guys are good coaches. They come from a lot of good background, and I'm a believer the more and more information that you're able to absorb, the better. On top of that, Kubiak himself, guess what? He comes from a good tree himself with his family. Dynamic offensive scheme where quarterbacks have thrived and some of his quarterbacks have struggled. So Kirk Cousins thrived, Russell Wilson struggled. And the only reason why I'm kind of like on that whole thing is because he wasn't really I think that might have been a little bit more Nathaniel Hackett with Russell Wilson, but he still was a part of that regime. He has worked with quarterbacks like Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, and if you watch what Brock Purdy looked like, I understand that he might not be the most athletic guy in the world, but that guy's a gamer, and Klint Kubiak and that entire 49ers staff, man, they deserve a lot of credit. So here's my question to you. If Kubiak is the Raiders' OC, who do you think will be the quarterback? And for those of you that watch our live show today, I'm going to do a segment around if this guy's hired to be the OC, here are the quarterback options that the Raiders are potentially going to look at. But if Kubiak is the Raiders' OC, the QB that I legitimately think that the Raiders end up bringing in to be their starting quarterback in 2024 is Kirk Cousins. And the reason why I'm going to say that it's Kirk Cousins is because of Kubiak and Cousins working together and playing at a very, very high level back when they were together with the Minnesota Vikings from 2019, 2020 to 2021. I mean, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but that's year one, right? I mean, we've seen how many times in Patrick Graham's system. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer to get it going. So year one, not bad. Year two, 4,265 yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Year three, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I did put out a video last week around the idea of bringing in Kubiak and bringing in Cousins simply because Davante Adams was hyping up Cousins. And if Davante says, hey, this is a guy that I like, out of all the offensive candidates that you see, with the ranking that you're about to see is based on what I think is the most likely to happen. And I still think that Cliff is the most likely person to get a job. But if we're just going to sit up here and say, okay, who's the better overall OC? Klint Kubiak, to me, is the better OC than Cliff Kingsbury. It's just a matter of what you're deciding to do at the quarterback position. But either way, if you're able to get Klint, if you're able to get Cliff Kingsbury, I am going to be a pretty happy camper because I do think that that gives you a lot of ability. The question is, though, will Mark Davis agree that it's the best pairing? Will Tom Telesco agree that it's the best pairing? But I do think if you were to bring in a guy like Kubiak, you bring in Kirk Cousins, and according to some recent rumors here that it sounds like Telesco is interested in Bo Nix, I do think that that's the better pairing with Kubiak compared to somebody like Cliff Kingsbury. All right, y'all, appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in to today's show. Again, we will be live a little bit later on today, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully we can get some smiles going because yesterday was a very, very tough day amongst the nation. I don't know about you, but I need to hang out with y'all and vent a little bit today. So please don't be late, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll see you there.